If you are in your 40s and 50s, want to start doing yoga from scratch, these are 4 things you definitely need to know. I'm practicing yoga for 20 years by now, and I wish I knew these things before, 10 and even 20 years ago. The first thing you want to know is that it's really important, it's vital to warm up our body. If you make yoga with other people in the class guided by a teacher, probably you don't have this problem because there's something that you do at the beginning that make your body warm up. That was true also for me. The problem was that when I was at home, sometimes in the morning, I was driven by enthusiasm, so waking up so flexible, so capable of doing those impressive things, I could start my morning movements with some deep forward bend. 2 times I've injured myself, in particular my lower back, because these movements, these deep forward bends with legs straight, they put at risk our lower back in particular way. I was flexible, I didn't have any mobility issues, I could afford doing these deep movements. But the thing was that I was doing it as a first movement in the morning without any warm up. So I've injured myself. I got some acute, sharp pain in my lower back, and then it took me some weeks and maybe months to treat this problem. So when we are in the second half of life, we definitely don't want to hurt ourselves. We don't want any injuries. We want to take all the good stuff from yoga. So my advice is that you never, literally never do your deep forward bend with your legs straight in the morning. Even if you are flexible, all the things that you do in the morning should be very, very moderate. And if you are not flexible, maybe it's better to bend your knees always. Take it as a rule. If you make a forward bend, bend your knees. You will get all the advantages of the posture without risking of injury. And by the way, in the morning now, I'm not doing forward bends at all. I just don't think these are the movements that my body needs in the morning. Instead, I think that my body have more advantage of doing some back bends, some chest opening, some stretching. The second thing I wish I knew 20 years ago is that you don't need to push too hard. I know that there's a culture around yoga, the culture of aesthetic, yoga aesthetic. And you can see many pictures of young person, young girls who have very flexible bodies, and they make this posture looking very beautiful. So trying to get closer to these aesthetics, we can think of doing just a little bit more to make our posture look better. The problem is that when we are entering this little bit more zone, we're losing the connection of our mind and our body. And this is an injury risk zone. When I was in my 20s, I was flexible, but even then, in some postures, I have to admit, I was trying to push a little bit harder, a little bit deeper to make my posture look more impressive. Sometimes for making a photo, and these are things you don't need at any age, but you don't need it at all and at your second half of life, because at the second half of life, the price that we can pay for this is much higher, because we need more time to recover from injuries in our 40s and 50s. So tearing and strapping and contracting your muscles and tendons will take you more time to recover. I am repetitive, but I will tell this again. If you start doing yoga as a beginner in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, all you want to get from this practice is world of benefits. So take it easy. The third thing I wish I knew is that all those styles of yoga that are slow, like yin yoga, restorative yoga, these are really cool things. I know it now when I'm 44, but when I was 25 and 30, these styles of yoga were those boring styles I would never practice. So I was doing my shavasana, I was doing some relaxation and stretching to recover from a physically challenging practice. But I was not using yoga practice for regulating, for working with my nervous system. And this is a very cool thing. And really now I am a yoga teacher and I know the benefits that yoga can give you, those challenging postures, those standing postures, those back bends and so on. But if you don't have time and if you have to choose what to do and you start doing yoga at the second half of life, I definitely recommend you restorative styles of yoga. Why? Because at the second half of life, we really need to take care of our nervous system and elaborate stress. Yoga is one of the best way we can elaborate stress, and we can do it practicing these restorative styles of yoga. And the last thing I wish I knew is that yoga is not an answer to all the questions. I was really fascinated by yoga and I was really sure of having a complete physical practice. That was true, but I wish I knew at least 10 years ago about the importance of strength training. If you start strength training at your 30s, you can arrive at your 40s and 50s well prepared. Since I was 40, I started strength training because this is what we need for maintaining our muscle mass, our hormonal health, overall health, protecting our joints and bones, because we lose our muscle mass that is strictly connected to the health of our joints, of our bones, and that influences our hormonal balance. Doing yoga has helped me to realize the connection between our mind and bodies and to learn the anatomy of the movement. That's why I had no problems with starting strength training in my 40s. But I wish I did it 10 years ago. Definitely, I would be in a better position now. That's why I'm telling you, start today. If you are in your 30s or 40s or even 50s and beyond, because this is what we need to do to maintain our health. To conclude, that said, these are 4 things you need to keep in mind. Don't push too hard if you start doing yoga. Always warm up your body, and if you have 10 minutes or 15 minutes, don't make any deep postures, just gently movement in the sake of warming up and gentle stretch. If you don't have time for practicing active yoga and restorative yoga, choose restorative yoga. Start doing strength training. You can perfectly combine yoga and strength training practices, and I will talk about it more in my next videos. How can we build our routine around these 2 disciplines? Leave your like, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with other ladies who may want to hear that.